What's going on, everybody? Today we are going to do the final review of the SOG Vision XR. This has been a really enjoyable knife, I have to really say. It is probably the most enjoyable knife that I've seen from SOG in a long time. I also very much like the idea that they did something that's very correct that knife companies seem to not get correct. And that is doing the dark earth on the scale, not the blade. In the firearms business, they do the furniture, your stocks and stuff like that, your handle grips. They do that in dark earth. The barrels are black. That's the combination that people use. I don't understand quite why the knife industry feels that this should be dark earth and this should be black. Maybe it's just me, that just irks the heck out of me why they do that. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't fit any of the other combinations that guys are building rifles and handguns and stuff like that out there, and they're doing it this way. They're not doing the blade as flat dark earth. They're not. They're leaving it black. But SOG got it right, and I enjoy that. And I very much like the looks of the knife. The action of the knife is perfect. Everything about that. That drop and that D10 just sucks the blade right in. It's just, they got this knife so perfectly dialed in. It's really, I'll tell you, if you get a chance to handle one. You might fall in love with it. It carries very nice. There's a little bit that hangs out of your pocket, but it's really not that bad. So let's get a close-up look at this knife today. Let's first start with some comparisons. So let's start with a PM2 here. And as you can see, well, maybe you can't quite with the angle of the camera, but they're very, very close and very similar in size. Let's bring in the Benchmade Griptilian, and it's again very, very close to being the same size. And let's bring in Chris Reeves, the Benzer 21. So, grab a tape measure here, and so we can compare. So you're looking at about exactly 8 inches overall length. So, yeah. So yeah, very comparable. The Griptilian's actually a tad smaller. Spyderco's a tad bigger, and the Chris Reeve is just a little tad bigger too. So overall, very good size in my opinion. Overall, like I said, the action of this knife is just the greatest part. It's just so hard to even explain. When you're holding the lock bar, you see how that blade just stays right there. As soon as you let the lock bar go, it just sucks it right in. It's awesome. You also have thumb steads. The deployment is just, this knife is really fidget friendly. For a knife that is supposedly kind of tactical, it's really got some interesting action. And let's compare it to, obviously, the Griptilian, which unfortunately with the Griptilian, the scales really make it sound tinny, plasticky. I hate that. Probably one of the things I hate the most about this knife. I keep it this way only because, for one, the action is spectacular on this particular one. And sometimes they're just not that impressive, but it's very much the same. The only difference is you notice how if I hold the lock bar back and drop the blade, come on, see, it won't do it now. It just, when you swing the blade, it'll actually close. But anyway, the action is just, like I said, as far as the lock system, which this is what they're calling the XR lock, which is just very similar to the Benchmade access lock. Very similar. The action, the feel, everything about it is very similar. And I have to say, it's very, very well dialed in. It really is. The Griptilian, even though I can't stand the plasticky aspect of it, it is a very fidget friendly knife. You have your thumb studs. I mean, obviously you can all use the friction lock to just so many. You don't have a flipper tab. That's the only thing you don't have on this knife that you do have on this one, which I kind of like. Just an extra. I love that. I just love the idea of having multiple deployments and just being able to just kind of fidget with it. It's just very, very, and it feels great in the hand. That G10 is just really feels good in the hand. It's not super aggressive at all, but it's grippy enough for you to really get some great traction. And same with the lock. I mean, it's spot on. It just gives you great traction on that lock. It's not too hard. It's not too loose or anything like that. You can use the lock as a deployment too, so that does give you another aspect. I'm not super good at it because I don't really use that, but D10's good. You can, if you shake it really hard, you can feel like the blade wants to come out, but it really won't come out. And so this knife, like I said, just absolutely perfectly dialed in. And the Tonto is a very mellow Tonto too. So if you're not a super aggressive Tonto person, which I am, but if you're not, it really does give you a kind of a nice roll. So it's not, you have to be careful sharpening a knife like this, because you could really actually just totally take that second edge out. And if you don't like a Tonto, you literally could, it wouldn't take nothing at all for you to just shave that right down to nothing. So, but other than that, and it came sharp, just very nice. It was a very enjoyable knife, very surprising. SOG has had some sketchy knives over the years. This was just a relief. Unfortunately, some of the other versions, which are obviously the less expensive versions of these, they've ruined because they put assisted flipper deployments on them. So I don't know why companies still do that, but so there's a version that's like half the price of this. It's like $80. This was 200-ish, like 225. I got this version I actually bought from SOG itself, because you couldn't find the flat dark earth anywhere else. The only color combination, literally the flat black all the way through, is the only one. Now they've got the red one out, but they still haven't released in the knife stores. They still haven't released this version. So I got this straight from them, so it was a little bit more. It might have been like $250 from them. I'm not even sure now, but it was worth it to me to get the version with the flat dark earth, which is what I wanted, something a little different. So, but there you guys go. I hope you enjoyed this video. We will see you next time. Have a great day.